Hi, everybody. Happy day. Happy day. Welcome to today's Topic Tuesday. I know that we've been a little behind on our Topic Tuesdays. There's been some stuff going on that we will update you about and why that has been so, but nevertheless, welcome back. And my name is Jessica from Misfit Sanctuary. I am a theta healer, beyond quantum healer, spiritual life counselor, ordained metaphysical minister. And I'm joined by the lovely Joey, who's such a dear friend of mine. She is an Akashic Records reader, all around badass, metaphysical misfit, just amazing. Thank you for joining me again, as usual, Joey.
So excited. I'm so excited for today. And I feel like we're not even that behind. I mean, time is so like a relative thing anyway.
Yeah, I have time. I experience time blindness. So, like, for me, love you, babe. For me, it will feel like for me, it feels like we haven't done this for like 2 months.
Yeah, I know. I feel so behind. And I was just, we were just chatting and we were talking about how like just now am I getting into like basically the intern phase of something I've been trying to learn my whole life. But really, when you think about it, time is so relative. It's like, meh, it's very timely.
And it really can be altered. Um, you know, as we get into what we're talking about today, which is the body keeping the score. Um, it is eclipse season. The veil is thin. Happy Halloween or All Hallows Eve, or Happy Samhain, whichever you celebrate. Happy day. And with all of that going on with the energy shifting, with it being the nearing the end of the year, we're coming into fall, the death of our, season, our summer season, the death of the ego. I am sure that Joey and I are not the only ones that are experiencing some physical communication from our body on certain traumas coming up to be seen, loved, and released. And so today, in our Topic Tuesday, we're going to talk about how the body keeps the score, how we can communicate with our body, what communication looks like, and how just because we are not feeling well does not mean we are broken. And it's actually, like Joey was just saying, it's a blessing that we're even feeling the pain that we're feeling
Like
because
crap.
it's guidance. And
Yeah.
we're going to get into it. I'm going to give it also, within that will be an update on what's been going on with me and why we haven't been
Yeah.
doing the Topic Tuesdays for a couple of weeks. Has it been I like really how long has it been? Has it been like a month?
I don't think it's been, I think maybe three. Maybe we've missed three of them. I,
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of guessing, but yeah, I think maybe even just two. I mean,
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
months or even years, as it might feel sometimes. It's, it's interesting also because things have been happening so rapidly. So it's another reason, like, and intense things, right? It's not even just like, I mean, it can feel really long when you are completely your digestive system's locked up and you're sitting still not being able to do anything. That can make it feel like a very unbearably long time, I'm sure.
Yeah, pain has been um it's been interesting. It's been really, really interesting. So just to clue you guys in on the situation going on. So, okay, what happened? And this is I love that it happened like this because this is clear evidence to me that what I believe is true for me, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, it gives validity to what I practice. Hi Betsy.
Oh,
Well,
hello.
welcome. Thank you for joining. It's so lovely to have you here. Uh, so okay. So over the last 10 or so years, I realized that the root of the illness, the chronic lifetime illness that I had been experiencing with Lyme and co-infections and parasites and mold and blah, 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 was trauma. And that when I healed the trauma, when I worked on that stuff, then the symptoms went away because the body is a communication device between our higher self, our oversoul, God, universe, whatever you want to call that, and our human experience. And the way it will communicate is through first very gentle nudges and sensations and little messages that we may not hear at first. And when we don't hear them or acknowledge them, or when we dissociate from them, they will get stronger and stronger and stronger because the vibration will become more and more and more materialized until it manifests as a dis-ease or an illness. And that is how our guides communicate to us, because depending on where the illness is in the body, or the pain or the sensation is in the body, that particular organ or system or whatever is going to clue you in towards what exact kind of trauma that is. And if you would like a deeper look into what that can be, I highly suggest Yvette Rose Metaphysical Anatomy. It's got over 350 different kinds of sensations, diseases, experiences, and the emotional root or energetic root that is tied to it, including ancestral trauma, past life trauma, all that good stuff. So, more on that later. And so, um, the last 10 years or so, I had been working on the trauma that I had experienced as a child. I had a very traumatic childhood, and that seemed to be the major root of why I was my body was communicating all of the pain that I was having, because it was certain trauma stored in certain parts of the body, or even behaviors such as codependency, right?
Yep.
Like it's not necessarily even a trauma, it can be a pattern or a behavior that is not of our highest
Yeah.
manifestation. And so guides will communicate pain in the body to get you to realize, hey, you've
Yeah.
got dependency going on or boundary issues. So it can be stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So
It's communication. I mean, that's what we have to look at as.
yes, yes. And so that's what I had been working on. And I reached a point of remission where I last July I was healed for all my own, awarenesses. Like the pain had left. I was able to start working, again, doing the healing business that I have. And it was great. And then about a month ago, suddenly out of what seemed nowhere, memories started to come up. Understand that our mind and our body can only process so much at one
Mhm.
time. Hi, Ron. Hi. Our body can only process so much at one time. And so it's going to bring up the most important at that time, as it's going along, and we need breaks. So I guess I got a break in my healing, and I thought, well, that's it.
Yeah.
And
You did it. This is how it works.
I'm there's nothing else to look at. I'm better, like my body is better, so I that must be the end. And now a lot of my work was like, well, what do I do now? Kind of stuff. And so just recently, memories started to surface of trigger warning, trigger warning, um, sexual abuse. I've been raped 4 times and was molested. I was a sex worker for 20 years. Um, Trauma started to surface around the 4 years I spent in the psych ward and the torture that I experienced in the psych ward and the torture I witnessed on innocent human beings in the psych ward. Trauma started coming up from almost dying, giving birth to my son, and the way friends during that time period were responding to me having all of these issues. And all of this came up, and I was like, oh, bet. Okay. I got shit to work on. Okay. I know I need to work on this. I know I need to work on it. But I didn't necessarily start working on it. Um, and then I got kidney stones. Like it's been a cascade of shit storm. Um, First it happened with kidney stone. I got a kidney stone and then and this is very TMI, but if you watch my channel, you know I share a lot of TMI. Um, on top of having the kidney stone, my bowels were impacted. And so I ended up in the hospital and then they sent me home. I passed the kidney stone. I cleared out my bowels. And I had a couple of days where I was a little sore. And this is the part that you don't know, Joey. Um, I had a window where I was feeling better. And dear friends of Carlos's and I, Callie and Andy, we've been friends since college, have been very close, have raised our kids together. They're getting married. And so we went out to Ormond to go to their wedding. And what we didn't realize, I didn't realize that, was that that meant it was almost like a reunion. And all of the people who were present during the time where I went into my spiritual awakening slash psychosis slash postpartum psychosis, the people that had abandoned me during that time, that I felt abandoned by, rather, because maybe they don't feel that they abandoned me. Perhaps they were trying to protect themselves because I was indeed unsafe and erratic. Um, uh, from my perspective, though, it was abandonment. Uh, Everybody was there. All
Wow.
of the people that were actually a part of the trauma that had come up, not all of the trauma, but as part of the trauma came up, we had a great night. It was a beautiful wedding. It was lovely to see everybody. Everybody was very cordial. It was slightly confusing to me because I have a really difficult time with social interactions when people say things that they don't really mean.
Yeah.
Like, we should get together again. Or I would really love to keep talking to you, but then you don't exchange phone numbers. So like that's all the whole social experience to me is always very confusing. But it was lovely. It was a lovely wedding. It was beautiful watching them get married. We had a great night. It was slightly emotional and triggering and confusing. I come home and then wake up the next morning at 4 a.m. in excruciating pain again. And in the emergency room, they can't figure out what's going on. Um, and now they have sent me for a consult for surgery because they they think that there's scarring on my intestines that's preventing food from going through. But they don't know. We don't really know what's going on, but I haven't been able to eat uh, really anything much at all. And it's been tough. I'm having headaches because I'm not getting the nutrients I need. I'm not sleeping well. My gut hurts. My body hurts. So I'm in it again, right? Like I feel like I'm in it again, and it's been very emotional, and a lot has been coming up. And so I needed to step back from doing Topic Tuesdays. I canceled all of my clients for a few weeks so that I could just go in and take care of myself.
Just 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, to
For Top Tuesday, we only missed two.
okay, okay. And we're back. We're back today. You know, I'm feeling well enough to be present. Joey has also been having her own whole
Journey.
experience and journey physically, emotionally, energetically.
Yes.
And so we thought today would be a good time to dig into really what's going on because it can be really easy when we're having these physical experiences to slip into despair, to slip into thoughts of I'm sick, something's wrong, I did something wrong. Um, you know, it can be really easy to slip into negative mindset when really what's happening, like Joey had said, is a gift. We're being shown a gift. Um, Betsy, I can do liquids. I can do really soft foods. Uh, so I've been doing boiled vegetables, like
Right.
boiled potatoes and carrots. Some smoothies. I've been a little hurt. I've been a little nervous to have a smoothie, to be honest, because it triggered a. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a spasm. I don't know what. It's pancreasis. My stomach isn't processing, so it's just a whole. It's a whole. With full respect to my body, it's a whole shit show.
Yeah.
Um, quite literally. Um,
I'm getting the feeling that you're definitely in need of some amino acids. Like you need to like really kind of okay. So just yeah,
yeah,
just yeah. Just while I was thinking of it.
yeah. The smoothie that I use has it's awesome.
Cool.
I think when I tried it last time, because I do it with blueberries because they're low glycemic.
Yeah.
But they do have tiny little seeds, and
Uh-huh.
I think maybe it was too early.
Rotating.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm gonna try again. I have to. I need. I'm gonna make one after we get off today.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Just and then protein is most essentially the amino acids themselves are just so important for just body function, brain function. I feel like, unfortunately, the traditional medical system, in addition to all the other things that it does us disservices in, like just the way that it portrays nutrition itself is so detrimental. So
Yeah,
fancy.
so backwards, and that's been like one of the most frustrating parts of
Mm-hmm.
this is um the medical system. Like I was given the consult for surgery over a week ago, and I still haven't heard from them. And they don't give you any number to call. You have to.
You have to wait.
So,
Hope you
and
don't die in the meantime. Sorry. Jeez, man.
so they gave me stool softeners, right? They told me to take stool softeners, and I looked at the ingredients. They're literally full of poison.
Yeah.
High 40.
In the meantime, let's just start poisoning you. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we're on our way to do anyway.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how effing frustrating is this? Like,
It's so frustrating.
well, and I was scheduled to have physical therapy for my, nerve issues in my arms, what, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
It took me like 6 months to finally see a physical therapist. And my area, unfortunately, is really renowned for having some pretty subpar medical care. But, I think we're all experiencing
And
that to some degree, not just this country.
I want to get the fuck out of America.
I know.
I am I am trying so hard
You
to
know,
get my family in that direction to go to another country because like it's I just uh staying here in this system with the health experience that I have been having feels so disempowering when I know if I were in Germany or
Yeah.
somewhere in even, freaking Ecuador, I mean, Ecuador is like almost a third world country and they have a better healthcare system than we do. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's been a lot, but as an example, that is part of my trauma
Yes.
is,
Yes.
is dealing with the inadequacy, at putting it lightly, of our healthcare system and the powerlessness that can create, and
Absolutely.
like going through this feeling of just shutting down my anger about it, because what is, the like, what is it going to do? What is being angry? It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to do anything. And so I have been just, well, I found other alternatives, like natural health care has been way more helpful. However, it's not covered by insurance. And, I'm excited to manifest more money to see natural health care facilities. But right now, that's not where I'm at. Um,
Mhm.
um, and, and, and so I've just kind of been like not feeling the anger. And when it comes up, just spiritually bypassing the anger. I'm just going to focus on what I am grateful for. I'm just going to, because it's a slippery slope between,
Yeah.
choosing the thought that brings relief and ignoring the feeling that's actually there. That's why whenever I'm in my coaching business, I always say you have to see and feel the feeling first and then find
Yeah.
that brings relief. And I haven't been doing that. If I'm just being completely honest, I haven't been doing that. I can own my own. I've just been looking for the thought that brings relief. And
Yeah.
so part of the pain I feel that I'm experiencing in my body is the inflammation, which is anger. And so, you and I talked a lot about how part of healing this stuff requires us to drop into the dark feminine
Hmm. Absolutely. Hmm.
to really feel that darkness and
Uh-huh.
chaos and that anger, and understanding that although feeling those things may not change the bigger picture, like me feeling my anger may
Yeah.
not change the medical system, but it will bring relief to my physical body,
Yep.
and so that's an example of, like, if you don't know, anger equals inflammation.
Yep.
Anger also equals cancer, which is like an extreme, everything is a spectrum. So
Yep.
obviously, if I'm dealing with inflammation on the CAT scan, the duodenum, which is the part of the intestine that attaches to the stomach, was swollen twice the size that it's supposed to.
Wow.
So there's anger there. There's anger there. And there's a lot of anger. And I'm angry. I am furious. I'm furious for multiple reasons. And I have been spiritually bypassing. And so my body is bringing awareness to it, like those of us that are on this healing journey, our guides are only going to let us go so far off path before
Yeah.
they're going to slap us with a 2x4 and bring us back to center,
And it, and it's our guides that are, and they're like, we have to remember, like, they're doing what we've asked them to do. Like, this is our plan. We're like, so at some point I'm
Yeah.
gonna be wandering around like some, jerk, just like pretending like I don't know a damn thing. And I need you to gently nudge me, then gently nudge me harder, then gently nudge me harder, then hit me with a 2x4. Do you mind?
Yeah, yeah. And like in that aspect, like you were saying, yeah, the pain is the gift, and the work for us to do is
Yes.
to do the emotional and mental work to come out of the victim
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
into that power seat of, oh, I agreed to this, I asked for this. Betsy said, yeah, I'm sorry, my bestie has gastroparesis and has a tube. That is my biggest fear.
Absolutely.
Is
That's
my
totally
my
understandable.
especially where I'm at right now. It's been really in my awareness that that's a possibility to end up with a tube, and that is quite honestly heartbreaking and terrifying. And I will resist it with everything I have. I will find a way to
Totally.
activate my intestines. I will
Absolutely.
find a way. I believe that it has something to do with the vagus nerve being shut down. And
Yes.
if I'm honest, I haven't been doing my vagus nerve exercises. I haven't been doing my dry brushing. I slipped into the routine of doing more for others than I did for myself, which is the pattern that I slip into the most. It's the one thing that I'm still I have to be really super diligent about it, and I kind of got stuck in a space of, well, I'm feeling better, I want to grow my business, so I'm
Yep.
just gonna take on as many clients as I can, and then I didn't have energy or time to take care of myself. I got sick. And so, I'm still learning. Like I'm still learning, and I want to be really honest with my experience. Um because I think it's helpful to be the example, and the only way I can be a real honest, authentic example is if I'm honest with where I've made mistakes as a human being, as a healer, as a coach. It really activates imposter syndrome. Um, but I believe that although I'm having this experience that to other people might look like a setback, to me, I know with the process of healing, we will heal in reverse of how things came on.
Yeah.
And I've healed the parasites, I've healed the mold, I've healed the Lyme, I've healed the fibromyalgia, I healed all the stuff that came on later in life. And the gut stuff was the gut and thyroid were the first things that came on when I was 7. And
Hmm.
so to me, although this is brutal, I do still choose because I know my thoughts create my reality. And also because this is the thought that brings relief. And I believe the thought that brings relief is communication from my guys that that is the truth.
Yeah.
Um, that this is, although it's painful, it is healing. This is me healing, right? Like looking at this is going to cause me to confront things that I have not been aware that I needed to confront. And I'm going to fix this, and I'm going to heal this, and I'm going to come through on the other side, and it's going to be awesome, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Well, it's even just so it's like I find it very useful to kind of take fill into the term body vehicle, right? Like cuz like this I absolutely, know that my body is its own being, its own beautiful being. However, it's also agreed to be my vehicle. And this vehicle is a very sophisticated machine, and it's a biological machine, so it has biological needs, it has its own consciousness, and it is set up to communicate with me, to do turn the check engine light on, to have alarms go off. And these communications are often, especially when needed, in the form of what we feel as pain.
yeah.
And It's a big thing. Pain is a big, I feel like pain is such a like a foreign concept to us as other dimensional beings, to other, other levels of life. Like this 3D physical pain situation is like basically it is our body vehicles coming online and being the sophisticated instruments that they've always been meant to be.
Right, right. And I do think that there's a level of like, it's like, yes, and
Yeah, sure.
I would love to. I keep saying I wish I could find a practitioner that does what I do the way
Yes.
that I do it. Like, because I know I can go to another theta practitioner, but they don't go like I do things different. Some of my sessions are 8 hours long.
Yeah.
So I really go deep in that moment. And I wish I could find someone that would do that with me because I can, you know, mentally twirl a whirl with myself if it's just me, I need but I would love to work on the programming of like my prayer for years has been, dear spirit, allow me to hear the gentle whisper before the 2x4 slaps me in the face. Because if
Yeah.
I am honest with you, I heard the whisper
Yes.
for months.
We talked about
Hey, Jess.
it.
We talked about it. Hey, and I acknowledged it, and I acknowledged that I wasn't listening to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I wasn't listening to it. I can speculate that all day long. But
Hmm.
the truth is like it's like in theta, I would love to shift that program of, being able to take action before I have to be in pain.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because pain is like it is the body coming online. Pain can be the thing that pulls our awareness back into our body. You know,
Yep.
like pain is a great motivator. It's a
Mhm.
great motivator. And I would love to be able to be motivated without pain,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And
I feel like I mean that's I feel like that's kind of like our next level. That's the level we're going to, as well as that's, not that I have a firm grasp on understanding this, but I feel like that's also part of like moving our awareness and where we're inhabiting kind of up a little, like being in the third as well as fourth, and really kind of embodying that more. And I think that's where, but also this is why we finally get to understand what pain is for, because nobody ever, like, other than, oh, it's so you don't die, because your body's trying to stay alive so you don't die. Well, yeah, for sure. But like, that's so much of a bigger statement than we've ever really understood.
right. And that pain doesn't always mean something bad. You
Right.
know, it's like this understanding how, we talk often about doing this and that affirmations. It's like
Cycle.
it's really easy to think, oh, I'm in pain, my body's broken, right? Oh, I'm in pain, something is wrong. And it's like, no, it's like although I'm in pain, I also know my body is working exactly the way it was designed to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's like this little thing floating. It was just like this little floating thing. Sorry. Um, yeah, although I'm experiencing pain, I also know that um my body is really like that's what it is designed to do. It is communicating. It is showing me, it is guiding me, it is directing me towards what to look at. It's making sure that I'm back in my body. And so it's like that mindset where like we were talking before we hopped on this that learning how to activate the go from like the knowledge
Yes.
to really activating the action and like
Mm-hmm. And
putting it.
embodying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's such, I feel like it's just such a foreign concept for us that we're just kind of starting to like work our ways around that, like understand the edges of this concept, you know. We haven't quite embodied embodiment yet, basically.
Yeah. And it's a, you know, it's there's like this, it's coming in and coming out of it, coming in. And I feel like when we're talking about the different dimensions and going from 3D to 4D or 5D, I think that we're constantly like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because we're not like giving up on three and like moving on or whatever. We're like, it's really, I mean, and also we have to understand we're like totally in all of them right now anyway.
yeah,
It's just we're basically focusing and learning to focus and learning to incorporate into our focus.
yeah,
And yeah, I
learning
mean, we're
how
everywhere
to
at once.
materialize, learning
Yeah,
how to take it from thought form into physical reality, you know,
absolutely.
and like really harnessing that control in
Mm-hmm.
and not being just kind of like, because thoughts, sorry if you can hear the noise, they're in the kitchen. But like being able to because when we don't realize that our thoughts are creating our reality, then we can very easily be at the whim of our thoughts and not realizing why we are manifesting the reality that we're manifesting, you know and but still it is true that the thoughts create the reality. And so when we finally step into that embodiment, and taking responsibility that our thoughts create our reality on a very consistent basis, then then we get that 5D reality. Like to me, I I have seen it. I have done it. I've experienced it when I have been consistent with my thought. Like, I don't want to say thought control, but that's I will say mindfulness. When I've been really mindful of what I'm thinking and choosing thoughts that bring the relief and choosing thoughts that acknowledge the experience I'm having as well as manifest the experience that I want. And when I'm really, really on it, I've gotten myself up to a place where I'm like, I am in heaven. Like, I'm in paradise. I am literally living everything that I want to be living. And then I see what happens when I come out of that consistency, and come out of uh, really being mindful and practicing. And then honestly, that's when the body gets sick for me, you know. And
Agreed.
and I feel very pulled, if I'm honest, like I feel very pulled by the 3D and the 5D versions of myself. Do you ever
Absolutely.
feel that way?
Absolutely. I think it's designed that way. I think that's really how it's meant to be. And I think it's because we really have to, like, let's be honest. When we first started learning about spirituality and craft, we're like, oh, that's right. That's way better. That feels more like home. I know that. Screw this physical shit. I'm just gonna pop out and work up here all day, and it definitely does some great stuff, but it's not we're meant to be pulled back into this 3D as well, because
Yeah,
that's where the juice is. That's where the juiciness is. It's where we're really meant to be working. But again, we're still learning how to do this because it's really kind of a foreign. I feel like it's like this new experiment we're doing,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And when you're doing experiments, sometimes you don't realize you're gonna maybe burn yourself with acid a few times, or blow a couple things up, or like that. Yeah, sometimes there's some collateral damage, for Christ's sake. And I feel like we're doing that, but uh hopefully not too literally, but hey, sometimes literally. So
It's
yeah.
literally
And
sometimes.
again, that's part of that dark feminine energy again, because there's that that destruction that
Yeah,
Sometimes that destruction is literally the perfect medicine
It is.
for that next level, because you can't really have, we are all made of this same matter, and sometimes you have to deconstruct it a little so you can reconstruct it.
Got to build it down. Like I remember when I was first going through all of the beginning kind of phases of healing. I remember seeing a meme that said, "What if you're not falling apart? What if you're falling together?" And I was just like, "Yeah, yeah." Like sometimes things have to completely dismantle so that we can pull it back together. It's like a star, you know?
Yeah,
The star has to explode. Materials are created so
absolutely.
that a new universe can be manifested. And we are stardust, you know? And so I think we go through these, expansion, contraction, expansion,
Yeah,
contraction, expansion,
absolutely.
contraction. And like talking on the dark feminine, um, I really resist it. I
Me too.
really, really resist it. I really do. And when I lean into that of why there's resistance, and I don't know if this will resonate with you or not, Joey, but like, well, first, there is a part of me because I know in order to heal this stuff, I know I have to drop into the dark feminine. I know 100% what my shadow is.
Yeah,
I know that there are things I need to destroy so that I can rebuild what I want. And that's terrifying. It's terrifying. And it's one thing where I was destructive in my past,
yeah,
not having an awareness that I was being destructive,
yeah,
but consciously be aware that I'm going to destroy something so that something better can grow.
yeah.
It's hard.
It's
Really.
so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's like even the word heal right now, I feel like there's resistance even in this word, this concept. I feel like the resistance there is when you use the word heal, it automatically assumes there's been a pain and strife and trauma. And so it's almost like this dark feminine is asking us to experience these dark things as an experience, not even as a healing, but as just an experience.
Experience. And like, there was a large part of my life where I would say I really identified with the dark feminine.
Right.
I wrote I wasn't quite emo because I'm a little too old for the emo thing. My generation was before the emo,
Maybe
but
a little off. No.
little,
Yeah.
you know, I never I never like looked the
Yeah.
part,
Right.
but my I mean I'm a Cancer sun and a Pisces moon, so I'm super deeply emotional. And I what is going on? Oh, sorry. Can you hear all of the chaos? No.
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay. It's chaos in my house right now. Um, but there was a time where I, not out of choice, like not out of an awareness, not out of an intentional, I'm invoking the dark feminine, right? But out of a trauma response,
Right.
stuck in the dark feminine, right? I was very stuck in it. I just like really identified with the grief. I really identified with I'm a traumatized
Yeah.
person. I really identified with I'm a black widow and there's something wrong with me and I'll never have healthy relationships and like, but it wasn't an intentional I'm going to go into this so that I can heal something and then I'll come back out. It was like
Just
gothy. Yeah,
so
yeah,
hmm
like life is pain and I'm the example of it, and pain is art, and like very fucking like writing so much sad poetry, always listening to sad music, being really depressed. I spent years of my life like that, and it took years to come out of that, and it
yeah,
took years to create the version of myself who I am now, who is not dark feminine, right?
yeah,
Who and also society really vilifies the dark feminine. I should have create I'm going to create a different title for this and talk about the dark feminine and how she
cool.
is imperative to our healing, because that's really what I want to talk about apparently. Um,
Cool.
because uh society will vilify the dark feminine, the Karens, not to say that there aren't some women that you need to you know
Sure,
chill the fuck,
sure.
but like will vilify the woman that's grieving, will vilify the or make fun of or ostracize. There's some sort of punishment with the dark witch,
Yeah.
the Lydia, if we're talking like Beetlejuice, like there's
The
some sort of
Liliths,
right,
even.
right,
Hmm.
that it's scary, or that, oh, she's a bitch, she's always walking around angry and well,
Absolutely.
what if the anger is justified?
Absolutely.
Like what if walking around like a fucking bitch
Yep.
angry is healing for that person?
It's
And
just fucking true.
it's
It's
just
just
true.
true. Yeah, shouldn't have said the F word. Damn it.
And
Crap.
so I know I keep dropping the F bomb. Sorry guys, but
Uh,
I've got a potty mouth and I'm really fired up about it. So
yeah.
um Carlos just opened the door and he shook his I know. Um but
That's,
like oh, Betsy's a Cancer moon, and
oh yeah.
yeah, sweet little sensitive soul. That makes sense. Um and so there I as I have been, because I kind of do this thing, yes, for protection, right? I
Yeah.
I do this thing, and I don't know if other people can do this thing, because I asked Carlos if he did it and he didn't really know what I was talking about. I don't know if it's because I dissociated for a very long time, or I don't know what it is, but I have the ability to kind of pull my awareness out of my physical reality and watch what I'm doing, watch my
Yep.
behaviors, watch my patterns, just as observe,
Hmm.
oh, I'm doing that thing, I'm doing that. Oh, look at how I did that. And just like looking at it, and what I have observed myself doing is because of the way society views the dark feminine, because I'm afraid of dropping into the dark feminine and getting stuck in it. Um, I have not, I have been spiritually bypassing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just no other way to put it. Not to say that I haven't been doing the work that I practice of seeing, loving, and releasing, but I haven't been immersing myself into it. I've been doing it just enough so that I can, what do I want to focus on? What do I want
Yeah.
to focus on? What do I want to focus on? Which is, listen, that's how you're going to create your reality, by doing that. But if I don't take the time to fully process the pain and the anger and the sadness, if I just look at it and then go, oh, it's there, I love you, hey, we're gonna work on that later, this is what I want to create, right? Then our bodies are gonna
Yeah.
hold on to that,
Yeah.
and if we don't listen and lean into that pain, for whatever reason, then the body will, the trauma, the emotion, the vibration will become more dense until we're in the position that I'm in now, where I'm dealing with now a physical manifestation of the anger, of the grief, of the. Let me just read to you what the kidney stone was. Can I do?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I looked for gastroparesis in this book, and she doesn't have it. I've actually thought about reaching out to her. Um,
Yeah.
to see, like, I've looked up, there's constipation, there's irritable bowel, there's intestinal issues, and they all
Mhm.
have kind of something in it for me to look at, but it doesn't quite feel like it's hitting me on the head. So this is the since kidney stone was the first thing that hit me. Let me look up kidney stones, and then I can read to you um, constipation, because that's probably the next
Yeah.
thing. Um, and and to be the example of, again, like the trauma that is, like, how the body is communicating. If I can, not trying to make it about me, but just trying to be an example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you are basically the way shower, leading the way here. So, those that come after can have perhaps a path so it can be a little more efficient of a journey. Uh,
That's really honestly what I hope. That's
yeah,
really what I hope.
not
Um,
quite, well, hopefully.
Hopefully. Okay.
Experience and the experience is beautiful. The experience, there's so much gold in that experience, and that's why you're mining that gold.
I'm mining the gold, and I'm really trying to work up the courage to share more about what I'm going through on, like, other social media platforms.
Right?
Um, I might just start with, like, blogging on my website, and
Cool.
but because I do feel like sharing it is it's helpful, because we can talk about this stuff all day long, but
Mhm.
have it helps to have an actual example.
Oh,
You
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
understand that the, like, taking you back. Oh, just to wrap up my thought about the dark feminine, and just in case I didn't, because I don't know if I did, I've been witnessing myself um, avoiding the darker feelings, because I want to portray myself as someone. First of all, is a healer angry? Like, I've never well, this is less true now, but before I started to identify that I needed to get into my dark feminine, I wouldn't look up a healer and find someone that was outwardly angry,
Okay.
right? So there was a part of me that was like, well, nobody's going to want to work with me if I'm expressing how angry and frustrated I am in society, right? Like, there was a part of me that abandoned myself so that I didn't get abandoned in society, right? And then also, I don't want people to see me as a bitch, or
Right.
that I'm overly angry, So I've been trying to figure out how to share that I'm feeling these things, and also express that I'm doing this intentionally to process the pain that I'm experiencing, so that I can get back to light, fluffy, happy go lucky, joyous, and
Yeah.
free Jessica, but I avoid it. I have been avoiding it because I'm afraid to get stuck in it. I don't want to. I worked really hard to get out of depression. Depression for me is life threatening,
Yeah.
because I have a history of suicide attempts, and I really fear the power of it,
Yeah.
um, and what society will think of me as an angry or grief-stricken woman who is sharing the injustice. Like we look at women and we're like, she's complaining. Like, why is she like, I want to shout from the rooftops what I went through in the psych ward.
God, yes. Yes.
From the rooftops that when I was going through that, the help I got was the help I got was made it worse. That the medications made it worse. That the people I saw made it worse. That the doctors mistreated me. That I saw, other people being mistreated. I want to moan and complain and grieve and wail about how the medical establishment made everything worse.
Yeah.
Uh, and I also know from when I've done that in the past that there will be the people who
Yeah.
um, shut that down
Yeah.
and judge me for it. And so I have not been doing the work that I know I've needed.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't so aware that I needed to go full dark feminine, but
Right.
I knew that there was anger that I
Yeah.
wasn't. So anyway, I digress. I just wanted to make sure um,
Beautiful. I think that that's really so important because really what you're doing is when you do express it, you're just showing truth. You're just
mhm,
shining a light. And like people need to know uh first of all, what you may experience at the hands of these people, right? Let's be true and honest about what's actually happening because it's not it's not going in there and just doing art therapy, that's for sure, right? It's
oh my
so
God.
yeah. So, and you did it willingly. You're like, I want assistance. This is what we're told we do when we need assistance. Let's
Yeah.
be honest about what it is. And, this is it's just you shining the light. And, Betsy said, you're the example. You're the example. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I love it, honey. I, yeah, yeah.
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 She, there's a balance, and anger is a natural emotion coming from someone who struggles with expressing anger.
Mm,
Anger is necessary when we are looking at the vibrational scale.
yep.
Anger is the first emotion where we actually have movement. The the emotions below anger are stagnant. And so
Yeah.
anger, like, and we're talking about uh, uh, shame, guilt, fear, apathy, uh, or maybe apathy then fear. I can't quite remember. Those are stagnant. And so anger is the first emotion where we have movement. It is necessary. It is imperative that we are comfortable with anger. A lot of the issue that people have that I deal with all my clients, almost every client, we've been programmed that anger equals violence.
Yeah.
So learning that we can experience anger and process anger without violence
Yeah.
is helpful, but also understanding that, we talk a lot about like choosing thoughts that bring relief. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean necessarily I'm feeling shame and I'm choosing a thought that makes me feel joyful. I mean, like, that's great if you can honestly and authentically do that without bypassing how you're feeling. But sometimes what it is I'm feeling anger or shame, and I'm going to find a way to make myself feel the anger. It is, you are raising your vibration. Like, to
Mhm.
somebody stuck in
Mhm.
shame and grief and all of that, getting their thoughts and their consciousness up to a place where their anger is them raising their vibration and thus manifesting a better reality for themselves. And
Yeah.
somebody who's maybe up in a higher vibrational of like satisfaction or whatever, to them dropping into anger might be a lower vibration to them from that space, that might be lower, but it's empowering. And the thing is knowing how to not get stuck there, like
Sure.
knowing how to tap into that anger as a tool, as a stepping stone, and doing, feeling it, experiencing it, expressing it without an act of violence. Another note is anger is the only emotion that actually needs to be expressed in a physical way, which is why it leads to violence. But
Yeah.
you can punch a pillow, you can scream, you can stomp, you can pound your fists, you can bite a cloth. Like there are lots of physical ways to process anger without being violent.
Yeah.
Um, so Betsy says, I try not to go dark. It's too easy for me. I can shut down and self destruct. I won't let myself. I reach out if I need to. I'm growing, not easy, just doing my best. I like angry music to get it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
music is super, super helpful. And yeah, Betsy, I think that's something that a lot, like I was just saying, there is a part of me that does have an awareness that going dark can be a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And so it's about awareness. It's about, I'm doing this intentionally to
Right.
process this thing. I'm gonna dive in deep. I'm gonna wear all black. I'm gonna do goth makeup. I'm gonna listen to sad music or angry music. I'm gonna give myself a week or two
Yeah.
weeks, however long, to intentionally
Yeah.
all the feelings, like lean in fully. The deeper we lean in, the
Yep.
quicker the experience will pass and
Absolutely.
get stuck there, and I will say that it's probably better to do some practicing with shifting your vibration and knowing how to do that really easily and well, knowing how to bring yourself present in a moment and harness your thoughts so that you don't end up self-destructing. Like
Yes.
I perhaps there is some practice that would be helpful before.
Absolutely. I think this is really what we need is so just like with anything, there's the unhealthy example of the dark feminine, and then there's the healthy examples of the dark feminine. And if we don't have any healthy examples and only have unhealthy examples, self-destruction might be a part of that. Uh, However, if we have healthy examples of, for instance, the phoenix, right? So that definitely suggests self-destruction, but self-destruction in such a way that you have a fresh field to grow your new self in.
Right. Yeah.
That's the healthy way. And I think, and with what Betsy said about, she tries not to go dark because she really feels like the self-destruction and the shutting down is how she goes dark. Uh, there's a way to be with that dark self and invite that dark self in without it having to be uh basically more self trauma. We
And
can do it if it's helpful. Yeah.
right. And that we don't have to now, I mean, I know I just said like fully dive in and feel all of it, but only to the extent where you're not putting yourself in danger. If fully diving in and wearing all black and listening to, like, then don't do that. If that's like, we have to know, with our homeschool, we have a phrase, play in your range. Know your range. Know
Yeah.
what's dangerous for you. You know, for me, I like the other day, I had some time by myself and I know I need to process the sadness that I have. And so I have a list on YouTube of music that makes me cry, music that makes me sad. And I had some time by myself. I put on the list, I sat, I zoned out, I listened to the music, and I cried. And that was me in that moment, allowing myself to drop into that shadow. And then my family came home. I said, okay, time to, put that back in the box and be in my family and be in my life and not let the dark feminine consume me. So know your range, know your boundaries with it. Know, I have to be very careful with my thoughts because it's a slippery slope for me to go from feeling the dark feminine into being suicidal. It's a very quick switch for me from I'm really sad and I'm so angry that this happened. And because for me in my life, it hasn't just been a few little traumas, or not, I don't mean to diminish trauma.
Well,
It hasn't been, a trauma here, a trauma there, a trauma there. It's been for a majority of my life, trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, admittedly a lot that I did to myself. Um, so I know when I go into it, I have to specifically work with one thing
yeah.
because I look at the whole picture of my life. It can go very quickly from I'm going to allow myself to feel my sadness to I don't want to be here anymore. This is too hard,
It's too
right?
much.
So, um, okay,
You
so
went
kidney
through a
stones.
lot this lifetime, didn't you?
Huh?
you you took some big bites to chew for this time around. Like you definitely you definitely chose a lot of large experiences to I mean you say, admittedly some of the trauma is you've done it to yourself. I mean, let's be honest, you've done it all to yourself.
Right, totally. Yep,
Yeah.
I chose.
Yeah.
You gotta leave at 5:15.
Okay, thank you, my love. Carlos is keeping my talking about time blindness. So
Oh, I
he's
love that. Oh, that's
yes,
that's one of my favorite parts of being in a relationship is I am time blind, but I also choose to continue to remain time blind because I think time is such a silly concept that we're working with anyway.
yeah,
So I enjoy being able to have that like different perspective on it. But yeah,
yeah,
when I have a good friendship or a relationship, my best friend in the whole world, she used to keep time for me all the time. She always knew just what time it is. I was like, oh good. Thank God I don't have to pay any freaking attention. She'll help me out.
we could go all afternoon talking about this, but because it's Halloween, I do have to get off at a certain time so that I
Yeah.
can get the boys to trick or treat.
What's that, like 15 more minutes? What you doing? What you think?
Um, I can do about a half an hour, and then I think that should be good.
I
Um,
will so attempt to pay attention to these things.
so so kidney stones. So what was happening again, just to refresh, was the trauma came up, and
Oh,
really what came to my awareness first was how having all of the sexual abuse that I've had is affecting the intimacy that I'm able to feel with my partner,
right.
and feeling angry about that and shutting it down. Um,
Yes.
and then that led to the memory of um, I had to have, after I had Micah, he tore the floor up, we'll just say that. And I had to have reconstructive surgery. The day after I had reconstructive surgery, and I'm talking intense reconstructive surgery, not just the perineum repair, like all up,
Ugh.
all up in there. The whole hotel had
Yeah,
to
I can tell you what my mom used to say. She used to say, not me, my brother. She's like, he tore me from, and so it's like,
oh yeah, I like front to back, the
yeah.
wall. I
And
mean,
he
like it was a whole thing. But the day after, or the second day after, I went into an episode
yeah.
of um. I would fluctuate between thinking of murdering people, like I would have visions that I killed my friends, um, or thinking about killing myself. And I, as Joey said earlier, I was always the one to put myself in the psych ward because I didn't want to hurt myself or anyone else. And so I checked myself into the psych ward, and the doctor uh, refused to give me my pain medication, refused to allow me to do sitz baths, wouldn't prescribe even ibuprofen. Um, in a psych ward, there's nothing soft to sit on. There's your bed, but if you lay in bed all day, then you're not going to get out of the psych ward because you're depressed and they won't let you out. So in order for you to get out of the psych ward, you have to be up, moving around, and participating, in sitting around basically. Um,
Amazing.
the chairs, everything is hard metal or hard plastic. I had stitches, and I was not allowed to use a pillow. Um, and I was in excruciating pain, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Thank God one of the nurses, hi Melinda. Um, thank God one of the nurses took pity on me, and she would sneak me ibuprofen, and she would sneak me sitz baths. So I went through that. So that was torture. That was like,
Torture.
I remember sitting in the room with the psychiatrist, who was of course a man, and him going, you don't need that. You don't need the pain medication. You don't need that. I'm not going to give that to you. I wish I could sue this hospital.
Hmm.
I think the statute of limitations has passed.
Too
So
bad. As I
I
would call medical malpractice. Absolutely.
it was just horrible, right? So that came up, and I was fucking furious. And so then I got a kidney stone. Kidney stone. You seem to feel a great amount of anger. The anger and resentment have been piling up, one on top of the other. New anger is added to old anger, resulting in rage and grief as you do not know how to resolve this mountain of emotions. You haven't dealt with you haven't dealt well with circumstances that caused you to lose your personal space and territory. You feel angry and resentful for failing to express firm boundaries towards influential people. You are deeply saddened by not being able to fight off or resolve certain issues and relationships. You have taken the blame for everything that has gone wrong. You feel disempowered by your past and your unconscious needs to suppress anything that looks too intimidating, which is why I hadn't looked at all of that stuff, because it's so overwhelming. The pain and grief I feel during that period of my life is so absolutely overwhelming. Um, and this includes intimacy, personal relationships, and circumstances that caused you to feel vulnerable and exposed. You have a long standing resentment towards someone that needs to be resolved. Your anger serves you by helping you express boundaries in situations that you would normally avoid. You feel you've had to harden your attitude in order to be heard and respected. And so I read that and I was just like, ooh. Because yeah, over overwhelming amount of anger, and getting, there's I would bypass it by, well, what's the point of being angry? I
Right.
can't, it's not going to change it. Me being angry isn't going to fix it for anybody else. Me,
Also, it's dangerous if you can't see any way to express it or change it. It feels really dangerous to feel it, because if you can't aim anything outward, crap, that's probably going to go inward then. So,
right. So for years, I've just been, or dealing with the rapes. I know that has affected me. And it also, I've tried to go to rape crisis counseling several times, and I last a couple of visits, and then I'm
right.
I'm out. Um, I don't want to relive it with a counselor. I don't. I don't. I want to. I don't want to look at it. I don't
Yeah.
want to look at it.
Right.
It's really overwhelming, and the way that I have dealt with it is to blame myself. Well,
Yeah.
I was a sex worker. I was, even when I was younger, well, I shouldn't have been talking to a 25-year-old man when I was 15, you know? Or, well, I knew that guy was dangerous and I still went over to his house. So,
Yeah.
you know, blaming myself, not saying that I deserved it, but I put myself in the situations for those things to happen. And that's how I process it. And
Right.
and it affects my relationship. It affects my intimacy even with my friends.
Yes.
And and so I've just, like what I'm realizing through this experience is that I from a lot of the childhood stuff. Not to say that it's all done because I still have some medical trauma that's being triggered, especially by what's coming up right now, because it originally started when I was a child. Um, so not to say that that's all done, but majority of it, I feel pretty good about, I don't like harbor the resentment against my mom. If anything, I wish I could feel more compassionate for her for what she went through. Um, but I haven't done the healing work on the adult trauma.
Right.
And when we were doing story time,
Yep.
we
Mm-hmm.
stopped. I shut down and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like I'm just rambling on. I don't feel like I'm really telling a story. I feel, I don't remember what I said, but basically I was like, we don't need to do this anymore.
It's
Um,
really interesting.
I did that right when we were about to talk about the adult trauma that I had experienced. And now looking back on it, Joey, I realized I did that because I didn't want to look at it,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
And
But I mean, I want you to just congratulate yourself for you went ahead and you may not have taken that step at that point, but you still walked up to it and looked at it. And it brought it up for you one way or another.
yeah, yeah, my body is communicating. It is communicating. And yours is communicating too. You're having your own experience
Yeah.
with, your I don't want to you can share what you want
Yeah,
to share.
arms are going, but so basically my arms are going painfully numb and dead, and this is something that I experienced right after my motorcycle wreck. And I didn't really have any, first of all, I was on pretty serious pain meds just trying to heal, my shattered pelvis and my broken femur. So the fact that my arms were so basically on fire all night and I couldn't sleep and I couldn't use my hands and stuff was really not a big deal to anybody, because I had a shattered pelvis and a broken femur. So priorities, man. So they said, here's some gabapentin, which never helped it, but I was like, shit, I'll take any relief because sleeping seemed kind of important. But yeah, so here I am, like experiencing this all over again, which is making me really have to look at not only just the trauma that happens from such a experience in the healing process, but also kind of I was in a pretty crap uh relationship at the time with I was really allowing myself to experience some emotional abuse that I shouldn't have. And uh so I'm really having to look at that, trying not to shame myself for it. But my poor body's been holding on to that. And I really, like I just want to have some compassion for my body because first of all, also, I am so grateful that I have this beautiful functional body that is in this process with me. And I just want to honor it and have some appreciation for what it's been holding for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so you
And
could
the
survive.
I can't
God.
hold anything. So, because my arms won't work. So it's like, yeah, so there's like so many layers and levels there. But holy crap, yeah, I've been going through, the child work, the child trauma, all that stuff. However, it turns out when you have experiences like that, you kind of continue to traumatize yourself. And even as an adult. And so, that wants to be that experience of looking at that and experiencing that is pretty important too. And for me, it's definitely slapping me in the face a little bit. So
And the the whole thing for you is like, because like, so your arms are related to power and
yeah,
embracing power or powerlessness, giving your power away, right? and and so your body is communicating that you're working with power, and the uh energy worker that you're working with, and multiple energy workers that you're working with, are telling you that you need to let go,
wow,
which you holding on to it is the way you're exercising the power,
right,
right? And so like it's this beautiful communication from your body, really, that like you're it's almost like you're wielding your power in a detrimental way instead of a building way, and guiding you towards looking at where in your life do you give your power away, and in what areas can you take it back. And part of reclaiming that power, I'm sure, Joey, is
mhm,
getting into that dark feminine and that anger, and
yeah,
tearing down what was to
absolutely,
you, you know?
yeah. Because I've been doing the dark feminine because if you don't do it consciously, then unconsciously you do the dark feminine in an unhealthy way. And my power is literally trying to white knuckle it, brace yourself, white knuckle that shit. And then maybe you'll survive. Well, literally, I can't hold things, like I drop things because I can't. So it's just like such a crazy, even literal way for me to approach letting go.
Yeah.
So it's time for me to really be conscious of using that dark feminine in a helpful way, in a healthy way.
Yeah. 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 100%. And you're doing it.
Yeah.
I see you.
Aw, thank you for seeing me. I
Yes.
see you, girl. You are an inspiration. What you've had to go through in general, but just recently, even holy crap. Like oof, I love you, and I just have just so much respect for you and the way that you just honestly approach your situation and talk about it and share it. It's so important because you do that. When I'm going through my situation, I can go, oh yeah, okay. So it may not be the exact same, but I remember this time that Jess was doing this way. And okay, I can kind of relate to that and pull that experience in. And you know what I mean? It's not just kind of helpful. It is literally the whole effing thing.
Thank
So
you.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for saying that. I I I really appreciate it. And I'm super grateful that my experience can be helpful. Like that's that's my that's my biggest thing. Like going through, even as a kid, I remember like going through this horrible trauma and just hearing something saying like, one day you're going to use this and really help other people. And
yeah.
that's been the thing that has kept me going,
Yeah.
for a long time. So I'm grateful to hear the reflection that is.
I am so glad you decided to stick around.
Uh, I will be honest, it was not necessarily my choice.
Not on one level anyway.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I didn't succeed in destroying myself, and I look forward to again, being the example of, like, that's why I mean, Melinda, you missed it, but basically been going through some health stuff. Um, and uh sharing what it looks like, because it's easy for me to do coaching and say, when I'm not in pain, when I'm feeling really well, hey, this is what you need to be doing, and this is how you get through this, and this is like, it's really easy for someone to be on the other side of that and feel like, well, that's easy for you to say because you're not in it.
Right.
So I'm here to tell you all, I am in it. I am
Yeah.
so in it right now, and I am committed to showing that what I have been teaching is legit and that it works, by being the example of working it. And I am going to heal, this gut thing going on. I don't know what that's going to look like. Healing comes in all forms. It may look like surgery. Like, if that's what it looks like, then that's what it looks like. But I'm going to do everything I can to avoid surgery.
I,
Um,
I'm glad you said that. I'm
yeah,
glad. I feel, and I've had surgery, sometimes,
yeah,
without the surgery, femurs don't heal. Right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't, shattered pelvises
no,
uh, don't just heal. However, and so I'm grateful for allopathic medicine and the triage care, and the luckily good triage care I received.
mhm.
Uh, However, I really feel like surgery being the answer to everything is you aren't meant to cut your body open and just like remove random organs because they're not necessary, or you know what I mean? Like the amount of surgery that's prescribed is
Yeah.
insane.
It was kind of surprising to me that the first, well, it was an emergency kind of situation, so they think that there's a blockage. They don't know how the blockage is being caused, but they think it's a partial blockage. And whether it's caused from scar tissue or whatever, we don't know. Um, so I understand that it's a urgent situation, not so urgent that surgery actually reaches out, but urgent enough for the doctor to say, hey, but I'm really hoping that when I go in for the consult, I can say, um, can we do a endoscopy first? Can we like see what's
Yeah,
going on instead of just cutting me open? Because if scar tissue is the reason that there's a blockage, uh, surgery causes scar tissue. You
absolutely.
So I'm looking into like, there's ultrasound therapies, like sound machines that can break up scar tissue. So again, these things cost money. They're
Yeah,
not covered by insurance. So then working on that leads to me working on manifesting money
yeah,
and all of that. And so I don't know what it's going to look like. But I do know I will heal this.
yeah,
And
yeah,
going back through the, Melinda says, oh, Betsy, yes, I love you, sweetheart. I would look forward to a hug one day. Um, Melinda says gabapentin is what I need to get off of. Yeah.
yeah,
On it for a while too, girl. And again,
yeah,
healing comes in all forms. Like there was a time period where that was what healing looked like. There was a time period where the antidepressants was what healing looked like. Um, and so if that's where you are, then that's great. But then it came to a point where it was no longer healing. And that's when I knew it was time to shift. And so if that's where you are, then I send you so much love and energy and encouragement to wean off of it very slowly, work with your doctor, um,
Maybe
kratom.
support, something for inflammation, some turmeric, just adaptogenic herbs. Uh, Ashwagandha is like basically good for everything.
Oh, I
So,
forgot to tell you, Joey, that so I was having hormonal problems and Joey ordered me this ashwagandha tincture and it immediately took care of the hormonal issue that I was having. So thank you. I just
yes.
ordered my second bottle.
Yay.
Uh,
Glad to hear that.
he says, Joey, I want to hug you too.
That's so
Um,
sweet.
she says, you're beautiful and strong, Joey. Jessica,
Oh,
you've always been an inspiration. Thank you. She said, wow, Melinda said, wow, Joey, I can so relate. You just gave me the realization of why I drop things constantly. Congratulations on that
mhm.
realization. Wow.
It's huge. It's so interesting too when we look at what experiences we're having with our body, like I'm really tense in my neck and shoulders. And so the energy worker I was working with, she's like, why, what is all this weight you have on your shoulders? There's like literal terms we use in the English language that show up as physical symptoms. And if we just kind of, if we can ponder that and think about it, it helps us have those other perspectives that we need to really kind of, realize this is an experience and it's okay to experience it. But let's experience it in like the healthy way where we get to like mine the gold from it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that sometimes pain is gold.
Absolutely. In itself is an experience that's really beautiful.
Oh,
It teaches us what it's like to be the opposite of it, right?
yes, it is the contrast
Mm-hmm.
that leads us towards the reality that we want to create. Um,
Absolutely.
I wanted to read before we hop off of here,
Oh,
my dear friend Tia Ma, who I highly recommend that you find her on Instagram. It's TIAMA, Tia Ma. She is a fantastic resiliency coach and Qigong teacher, practitioner. She's amazing, amazing, amazing. I love her so much. She sent me this thing because in case you don't know, we mentioned it earlier, but we are in eclipse season. We are in today the veil is the thinnest of all year. um and so a lot of people got stuff going on right now, and so uh astrologist that she follows wrote this. The astrologer is named Diego E. Berman. You can find him at www.diegoberman.com. And he writes, towards the last lunar eclipse of 2023, new timelines and beginnings. I'm sorry, can you hold on real quick? Hey, boys, can you lower your voices just a little bit, please? Boys, thank you. It's okay. It's just distracting. Thank you. So it says, dear friends, we are, oh, and this was written, oh, it doesn't say when it was written. It was just written. Dear friends, we are just a few days away from the full moon and its partial lunar eclipse on October 28th. This will be the last eclipse of 2023, and it will act as an energetic finale for the eclipse corridor initiated by the solar eclipse that took place last week. We are navigating through intense energetic waves at this moment, and this energetic acceleration has been triggering many changes within our minds and bodies. Those of you who are energy sensitive are experiencing many different symptoms this week, some quite intense, specifically targeting the nervous and digestive systems, which when I read that, I was like,
Oh yeah. Like so on point.
wow. We are undergoing, which was also comforting because
Yeah.
again, it was
Very com-
to me, nothing was wrong. My body is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Although I'm in pain, although this is horrendous, this is also beneficial, helpful, signs that my body is shifting, signs that I'm healing. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
um, to those of you who are, we are all undergoing deep clearings and shifts at the individual and collective levels. Please be kind to yourself and rest as needed. This upcoming lunar eclipse in Taurus on October 28th, which obviously just passed, will bring with it fireworks too. Lunar eclipses are celestial events that occur during a full moon when the earth casts its shadow on the moon. They represent emotional turning points, symbolizing the need to confront our hidden selves. Unlike regular full moons, lunar eclipses bring unexpected changes and connect us to the broader patterns in our life. Energetically speaking, this Taurus lunar eclipse will push us forward into new timelines, supported by the shifts we are experiencing during the eclipse corridor. Sometimes these shifts will be subtle, such as acquiring a new emotional perspective on some facets of your life, but can also manifest as a sudden life change, such as changing jobs, locations, or relationship status among family members and friends. New timelines are being woven during this period. So allow this process of transformation to take place peacefully within you. We are letting go of years of limiting beliefs. The closure of the eclipse corridor this weekend will be a wonderful time to surround yourself with those who offer you loving care and affection. The Taurus full moon invites us to make sure that we feel confident about who we are and that we are living and speaking our truth. This is particularly prosperous time for embracing change, creating new chapters in your book of life, and letting go of those anchors that are preventing you from flying high. You can use the work with the full moon activation in the 3D to 5D library throughout this eclipse corridor closure. This activation will attune your emotional energy fields to the full moon energies on the day before acting. Oh, okay. So that he's talking about if you go to his page, he has some uh some worksheets and things to help you through it. He
He has
says
some meditations.
right. He says
Many.
right after the lunar eclipse, we move into the special energies of October 31st today, when the veil between dimensions become thinner. Stay tuned for more updates as these amazing energies roll in. I'll be posting more detailed eclipse information in a few days. Have a wonderful days with much love. And I will just tell you, um, I'm very interested in what the energies of this veil today show. Carlos and I are having a discussion today about some things, and I am very interested to see what comes of
Right.
our discussion.
Right.
I'm excited, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, to see what happens. And so as you go throughout this evening, whether you
Yeah.
are celebrating Samhain or Halloween or trick-or-treating or having a party or staying at home and just going into yourself, make sure to be gentle and loving and kind with yourself. Um, I want to express hugs and love to all of you. Thank you, as always, Joey, for joining me. I
Absolutely.
adore you, and I just love doing these Topic Tuesdays with you. I love having you in my life. as my friend and just doing this growth work together. So thank you for being here and sharing your experience.
Thank you. Aw, totally agreed. Oh my gosh.
And thank you, Betsy and Melinda, for joining us. And
Thank you for being
hello and goodbye to everybody else who watches afterwards. Um, if you want to support my channel is not being pushed in the algorithm. So if you want to help me out, please make sure that you like this video and share it on your Facebook or other social media or with friends that you think would benefit from hearing this conversation. And we love you very, very much.
here.
We hope that you have a wonderful and happy Halloween.
Yes. Have a good week. Until next time. Maybe it's next week.
Bye. Yeah, maybe it's next week.
Oh gosh.
Okay. Your stream will stop immediately, it says, but I'm watching the YouTube and it's still going.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, if you're still watching, if it doesn't stop automatically and you see this, I'm sorry. Okay. There we go. Bam.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Okay.